Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Peck,
I'm Chris.
and we're here for another edition of, well, what we always seem to be doing, talking about TNA.
Interesting.
Now, there's some recent developments that have suggested that they might actually be staying with Spike TV, and we're kind of just kicking back and forth the idea of whether that's good or whether things are only going to get worse for us. And honestly, I'm in the going to get worse camp.
Yeah, it's going to get worse before it gets any better.
I mean, they're already limited on their budget, and if you cut their budget even more, and they can't go back to the Impact Zone, and they have to tour, they're not going to be able to afford it.
Well, it's interesting, too, the chain of events that have led us to this amount of despair as we watch. It's really hard to watch this program.
Let's just walk people through where we were from Bound for Glory last year until now.
That was horrendous then.
No, I liked it last year.
I was pretty disappointed with most of it. It was very lackluster. We were watching, Sting have a pitiful match with Magnus.
Yeah, that was very bad, I admit.
The X match just had no... that X match, that was like the opener for that had no rhythm at all. It was such a mess. The fans weren't really into most of the pay-per-view.
That pay-per-view was predicated entirely on Styles, Bully Ray, and the end of the feud for the Aces and Eights, and I thought that went well.
The problem I have with the whole AJ thing was like a cheap knockoff of CM Punk.
Well, that and the fact that he wasn't on the show. I mean,
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. The matches that he had with Sonata, with Judas Macias, the international matches he had were fantastic. But if you only show highlight clips of them on TNA, the people aren't going to care about who they are. It's like, okay, well, here's AJ Styles. He kind of did. I watched 30 seconds of this. It might have been a good match, but it wasn't on Impact, so our champion's gone, and then they did this whole, he comes back and he challenges Magnus. And then from there, it just got awful.
Yeah,
Magnus' entire title reign was... Do you remember Shawn Michaels whenever he was part of DX and there was no clean finish? Picture that with a lot less wrestling talent, and that's what we had with Magnus.
Do you think they were trying to make him like an Ethan Carter to the third, but he wasn't able to have that persona?
No, I think that his character was very good. I think they just booked him
too
weakly. I didn't understand with his look, with his... There were some things that he was able to do effectively, but the way that they booked him made him just look completely ineffective. And then to have him lose the title to Eric Young is when it really fell off the rails.
Oh yeah, it was horrendous.
The bad part is Bobby Lashley is actually an upgrade at champion over somebody.
Yeah.
Then you're really in trouble.
Yeah, that's...
And I gotta say, I can't fault Bobby Lashley.
No, you can't at all.
For the run that he had. They booked him right. They didn't have him talk. They didn't have to try to make him interesting. They just let him go out and wrestle. He wasn't really part of the whole faction thing, and that was okay.
I just see my thing with Magnus is he's definitely a better face than heel.
No, I don't think so. I just think that they need to play him effectively.
True. I just like him better as a face. I think the fans...
Well, they're really short on faces, though, because,
Yeah.
it's all their aging stars. They don't really have all that many. Anderson's been stuck in the mid-card for months.
He reminded me, Magnus... I know it's kind of crazy to say this, but, like that drive and that willpower like Sting had in the late 80s, I saw that in Magnus, that fan excitement for him to grow and become a better professional and for him to win some championships. That was what I saw with him within the last year. But then when they turned him heel, it just didn't work. They shouldn't have did it the way they did it.
I'm trying to think of a WWE or a WCW comparison. I would say the thing is he didn't have any heritage, but you could say almost that he was sort of almost a Randy Orton type character.
Yeah.
Not really a hardcore brawler, even though they've been claiming that he is now, which makes no sense.
He's like he's a slick tough guy kind of thing.
Basically, yeah. He's kind of almost in the Bobby Roode mold, people like that.
Yeah.
Just legitimate heavyweight, good wrestler, technical background, and, just kind of still looking for his thing, but, doing his own thing. He wasn't getting by on someone else's name because he wasn't, second, third generation star.
Well, this product it's pretty pitiful. What I'm watching now, it's a short attempt to try to get fans excited again. There's New York tapings where that last ditch effort to reboot again. But if you have to keep rebooting the company, there's something wrong with it.
The worst part of it is that we're still seeing the same matches that we were seeing at the New York tapings. The Hardys have wrestled the Wolves and the Dudley Boys more times in the last 7 weeks than I'm even comfortable admitting to.
I think it's too much.
It's way too much.
Well, now they're doing a tag team tournament where they're throwing random teams together, and they have the Hardys in it again.
And the only good thing that ever came out of that was Magnus and Samoa Joe. because it helped both of them.
Yeah, I mean, that
It
was...
really did. But other than that, nothing ever comes out of that.
Well, this one they're getting, like, the Hardys are in it. Ethan Carter III and the WWF guy. What's his name? The big fat guy.
Tyrus.
Yeah, he's with them. It's
We're
just
looking at a roster of like what, 40 people,
barely. It's pitiful. And why is
and
Garrett
the
Bischoff
commentators
still?
are on there. Why is
Garrett Bischoff still with the
there?
company? I figured that out.
They also haven't updated their champion, by the way. Bobby
No.
Roode won the belt last Wednesday.
Sure.
We're at Monday now.
Well,
Oh wait, no, he is there. He's
Well-
just also in the roster page.
well, Jason made a good point. He's on our podcast as well. He said, "It's sad. TNA is available to me on demand, and there's like a whole bunch of episodes I need to watch." And he's like, "I'm just not interested in watching them. I have no drive to watch them. I'd rather watch something else." And to me, that says it all. The fans were so willing and so into this product at one point in time that this was like the next big thing.
And I'm
to a
sure
degree.
most of you already know this, but a lot of you don't, and it's kind of a running joke. But they are taped up all the way through basically what, Christmas?
Yeah, there's
and
like
the results are already online, and there is literally no storyline progression at all. We're doing the same exact thing week after week
exactly.
after week. Why?
It's poor booking, it's poor planning. The fans that were interested are long gone, and it's always a reboot that leads to nothing.
And the whole partnership with Wrestle One only benefits Wrestle One.
Exactly.
And allows people to get a chance to see some good Japanese wrestlers. But the other problem with that is they took their biggest pay-per-view of the year and made it a one-night only, essentially, which they already had with Wrestle One called Outbreak.
Yeah, so there was no point. I didn't order Bound for Glory. It was the first time in almost 5 years I haven't ordered Bound for Glory live.
This was the first year and probably the last 6 that I haven't watched Bound for Glory.
Because it's just, there's nothing that is enticing me to buy it. And it's one of those tape shows.
By the way, they also didn't put their big stars. There was no Bobby Roode. There was no Bobby Lashley. There was no Samoa Joe. There was no... Wait, did Samoa Joe wrestle in the X match?
Yeah, he was in some X.
That was him. Okay,
Kaz
there was
Hirashi.
no Aries that wasn't in it.
Yeah, I mean, there was no one. The Hardys weren't on it.
There was no Bram. There was no... Ethan Carter was there, but that was it.
There was just nothing for me to like say, hey, I'm going to order this. I really want to order this.
And they made Tajiri a main selling point. No offense. If I saw the guy at a live show, I'd think, wow, I really got my money. My money's worth. Tajiri's a great wrestler, but I don't want him in a main event. And the fact that he is kind of bad. Do they still have Rhino?
Apparently he's back. I don't know.
He was back. I don't know if he's still there, though. Oh, and let's not forget they have the Menagerie.
Well, I mean,
they all need to go.
Yes.
Except Crazy Steve. You could do a little bit with him.
Well, I think what we need to do, too, is go through, like, let's do hypothetical. Like we were talking off the air.
Let's rattle through some of the roster and see if they have a future or if they're just dead weight.
Yeah. Well, here's one thing. I have a question for you. You think they're going to sign with Spike, or are they going to go somewhere else? Your personal opinion, we don't know 100% for sure.
I think Spike played the greatest game of chicken to keep a show that's not going to fall under 500,000 viewers, but also isn't going to be at the level they were before, but they're going to pay a lot less for it, and they're not going to promote it just like they always do.
Can they... Go ahead.
I think Spike got a great deal.
Yeah.
I think TNA, Dixie Carter's going to blink. She's not going to shop around. She's not going to call their bluff. She's not going to look, and she's going to settle for less like she always does. For example, her biggest announcement recently was that she had a talent signing. It wasn't a signing. It wasn't a new network. It was a re-signing. They brought back Angle, and he's probably going to do a part-time schedule. That's not news. He's injured. He can't wrestle. No one cares.
Well, it's old news, too. I mean, Angle's great, but there's not much time with him left.
And what else can you do with him, really?
Exactly.
At one point, he did hold every single belt except the women's title on a pay-per-view and defended all of them. I mean, what more can the guy do?
Well, I know. That's the problem. Like, where do we go from here? And here's another question. This is brought up a lot of times in the different forums and on Facebook and other wrestling groups and media. Can they survive online? I say yes.
No, absolutely not. Because, honestly, that's how you get started. If you end up regressing to that, you're not surviving, you're on life support, and any fans that you had, you're not going to see 800,000 people tuning in to watch that. You're going to see maybe 40,000 people scattered to make up maybe 200,000 total audience. You're not going to see the type of... Because, I mean, a lot of people didn't even know TNA was on when they switched back to Wednesday without telling anybody. They lost so many viewers because of that.
Well, I mean, the common fan has no idea what TNA is. I mean, we go to events and there's kids.
You have to bring up
Yeah, bring
The
up.
other veteran wrestlers that they have or have had, they don't know. I've been asked who AJ Styles is by people my age that didn't
They
know.
don't know. I mean, we were at the Rumble, and the kids behind me said, "Oh yeah, Sting. He retired a long time ago. He's been with TNA." They have no idea like that Sting was wrestling with TNA. TNA has done such a horrible marketing job that yes, you can say they've expanded. They've become global to a degree. They're in the different countries. They're
Now,
doing
how
that
much of that is their network's fault?
exactly.
That's the other problem, though, because I mean, we don't see.
There's no promotion.
No, there isn't. We don't see the promotions on other channels. We don't see them. And the other problem that I've had is you don't see them in any of the charity events that get
No.
covered. You see them doing things now and then, and they also don't. You know, WWE tends to stay culturally relevant and right, like the week after they do something.
Yeah.
They do the breast cancer thing, or they do. If there's like a big event, they have the Super Bowl MVP on. You know, the week later.
Yeah.
TNA. Do you remember 3 months after the Super Bowl, we had the guy from the Giants show up?
Yeah.
The season's long been over.
Exactly.
And we have it was either Jason Pierre-Paul or one of the linemen, and in Florida. Who cares? Who's going to recognize this guy without a uniform on? Him and Bully Ray.
This has always been a problem since day one. The marketing and the promotion. It's been horrendous. They always bring in people that no one really cares about. They brought in Dennis Rodman for a hot second. They always push to that Hermes Sadler guy, which is great and all, but no one knows him. They always bring in these irrelevant celebrities and think it's going to be some kind of big media blitz, and it never is.
No, because those guys don't even get attention on their own publicity.
Yeah.
Let alone at a wrestling event, which is already a niche thing.
So I think marketing promotion has been... They've been doomed from day one for that.
Horrible financial mismanagement.
Yeah. You could
They
say that
haven't
too.
paid people on time. They haven't gotten the energy company to open up the purse strings because they haven't shown any growth. Dixie Carter's been nothing but an obstacle. She's made deals behind people's backs, bringing writers in that weren't supposed to be working for them, supposedly.
Well, and even Jason said, like, some of the production crew left because they weren't getting paid, and they could see the writing on the wall. Now, I don't know exactly where the sources were from, where he pulled that from, but I could see that happening. I mean,
And all the little things. We bring this up a lot, but why in the world would you waste so much money completely changing the color of everything that you have from red to blue?
it all goes back to this. There's no identity.
Stick with an identity, and now, instead of calling it TNA, it's now Impact Wrestling. Is it Impact Wrestling or is it TNA? Who knows?
Once again, yep. They have never established themselves of being who. This is what we were talking about in the last podcast.
The only time they had an identity was when they were with the NWA.
Exactly.
And they were a branch, but they were the figurehead because the
Yep.
NWA championship resided with them.
Exactly. That's a good point.
And they could have had their own theater organization. Giving NWA talents mandatory title shots, that's not a bad thing. They're not going to go out there and completely screw up. You know, if you at least get them some airtime, if you would build them up properly ahead of time, and you gave them their one obligatory shot a year out with your best wrestler from a new territory, fine. I don't see the harm in that.
Well, that's what they used to do anyway. And actually, when they dropped the NWA and they had the NWA title tournament, that was pretty decent. I would have actually liked to see those guys on TNA.
I would rather see that now.
Yeah.
And look at all the people that were in Gut Check that received contracts compared to the people that they should have signed.
Exactly.
Rockstar Spud got a contract. Now, don't get me wrong. He's entertaining. I like him. He's funny.
Yeah, I mean, there's potential there.
Actually, you know what? Bad example. I like Rockstar Spud. But think about...
Yeah, the big roster here.
Who's some of the junk that they signed from there? Let's look.
From where? Where exactly?
From Gut Check.
Oh, Gut Check. There's Samuel.
Is anyone still on the roster?
Samuel
Shaw's not bad.
Yeah, he's okay. I think
But think about some of the guys that they picked to win that. Or let's look at somebody, Tigre Uno. Compare him to Adam Pearce.
Yeah, he's no Adam Pearce.
You would be so much better off if you had Adam Pearce compared to Tigre Uno, a.k.a. the ripoff Rey Mysterio. No one cares about Tigre Uno at all.
Well, and same thing with this Chris Melendez. I get what they're doing. They're trying to get the whole Marine veteran.
The war hero thing. Yeah. I get that too.
Which is fine and all, but it's just...
He has no charisma.
Yes, there's not... They waste so much time. They did the same thing with that Sailor guy. Remember he teamed up with the... a nice guy, probably decent wrestler, but there's no charisma. It's just a waste of time.
And he doesn't have a look at all. He just looks like... He looks like Eddie Kingston to me. Honestly, that's what he looks like. And, you know... Don't get me wrong, the guy kills himself for the business, but he's just not interesting enough. Right now, you need to be pushing your most interesting and dynamic characters, and they're working mid-card matches. Mr. Anderson still has a lot left in the tank. They finally got rid of the stupid asshole gimmick that wasn't working. There's a lot that you can do with him, but he's been feuding with Storm and Gunner and Samuel Shaw and all this for God knows how long.
Well, here's the thing, too. Just going back to online, I think... they could survive because the fans are already long gone anyway. So whatever they do, it doesn't really matter. But here's the thing: as long as they plug money into it, it'll keep going. Whatever they do, they
Well,
could
no,
have
no, no,
5 matches on Impact
no,
and
but
put it
here's the
online
other problem.
until they find something.
If you're online, you don't get any money from Spike TV, which they've been using as a supplement. You brought up that supposedly Spike TV was responsible for Samoa Joe and Austin Aries contracts.
Apparently, I'm not 100% sure.
Supposedly, but let's assume that Spike pays a portion of the money that
Yeah.
is then used on contracts. If you don't have that, you're not going to have a roster. Who in the world is going to stay for only an online show?
Well, here's the thing, too, though. They could say it's another reboot because that's what they love to do. If they got Angle there,
You
they
don't-
still got him.
No, you don't come back from that, though. That's what I'm saying.
Or you don't, but
you don't regress to that point. The only company that could have possibly ever done that would have been either ECW, but they didn't have the capital, or WCW, and Turner pulled the plug.
Yeah.
Those are the only two companies that could have ever done that, kept their talent, and tried, and looked at signing some new guys. These guys cannot do it.
They did in the summer of 2005, but that's when the Spike TV deal was about to happen anyway.
Right, but they were getting so much more money than they were from Fox Sports, because the problem with Root Sports was anytime there was a baseball game in your market during the summer, you didn't get to watch wrestling. If there was a day game, you went without it that week.
Yeah.
And there was always a day game on that Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends what they want to do, how they're
Why
going
is
to do it.
Rampage Jackson still on their roster?
Well, we'll go through all that. I mean, there's a mess here. But the thing is, like, yeah, if they let some of the guys go, they could still have enough of a talent pool, I think, to get by to a degree, but it depends how much money's left. I don't know. I don't know the financial situation. It doesn't look good either way. But we were talking about the NWA. There's your identity. But they never made it seem like... I mean, they made tradition seem like it was important, but they didn't do it like the way Ring of Honor did everything. You notice how Ring of Honor does everything, where they have like
streamers,
yeah.
they have their own. They have their own heritage. And they're not afraid to bring back past talent and acknowledge.
Well, you can see all the mistakes that TNA's done by not having that identity. Ring of Honor doesn't have to impress anybody.
Because
the fans come to them.
Wrestling. Yeah,
yes,
exactly. And
they establish themselves as a brand.
They don't try extremely hard to cater to fans that they're not going to get.
Exactly.
WWE tries reaching out through so many celebrity things and whatnot.
It's a waste.
That they're not, well, not necessarily, but they're not going to keep these fans for very, very long.
No.
And they know that. But TNA just, oh God, I don't even know how to explain how far they've fallen.
I mean, I thought they were bad in 2008. That's where I started to really lose interest. In 2000,
it was more so the booking, because the talent that they had was decent, and it was younger, and
just
it was
bad
useful.
booking. And then when Hogan came back, I said, well, we'll see.
Because they got some money and whatnot, but then he didn't promote it either.
No, he didn't promote it whatsoever. People got fired real quickly and left. There wasn't much that really came from that, but it was interesting because the roster expanded, and at least we got some interesting storylines. I mean, like when
we got the rise of Bobby Roode, we got a lot of good things like
it wasn't bad. I mean, but then after that, it slowly just
but
imploded.
The biggest problem with TNA, to me, has always been since 2002, and you know this is true because you've been watching it.
Mm-hmm.
Every single, for a majority of the year,
okay,
I'm talking 9-10 months of the year, and only not even consecutively, those 2 months back to back where the storyline's not about this. Every major storyline has been about control of the company.
Yeah.
And financial stake, percentages, this and that the wrestling fans have had enough of.
Yeah.
Even Austin didn't get involved with it. Whenever it was him and McMahon feuding, it was him and McMahon. It wasn't the entire company and
it's
somebody trying to take it over with Vince. I mean, very briefly with The Undertaker and whatnot, but they didn't make it that big of an overwhelming storyline arc that we've went from Sports Entertainment Extreme, Planet Jarrett, Hogan, Immortal, Fortune,
well, the World
Dixie
Elite,
Carter, everyone, World Elite, but that wasn't really about control of the company. That was just like their big, faction. But
TNA
it's literally
Originals,
all been about that, and it's a stupid fallback position storyline that's been stale for almost 10 years.
Well, it shows
more
you,
than that, 15, 20 years,
and it shows you there's no leader of the ship. There's no rhyme or reason for what they do. It's just a mess. And I think that's another great podcast we could do is, should the authority figure go away? I say yes. What do you think?
If you're only going to have them to support certain roles, like occasionally get a cheap pop from the crowd by forcing the heel to have a match that he doesn't want to, then yeah, he's useful for that. Having a commissioner. I like having a commissioner.
That's not bad. Like Monsoon did that,
or
but
like
he wasn't...
a championship committee. But whenever they're getting involved in almost every storyline except the X Division title, just enough.
Yeah, too much. Way too much. Now, apparently there's rumors that they might be going with WGN. Now, there was something I saw online. I don't have the source, and I should have got it, but saying that Spike was losing some. I guess I don't know something. It was like it was almost
subscribers. They were losing it because Viacom or some other
yeah.
company. There's a different cable company. I can't remember the name of it, but they've dropped Spike TV programming, and it's something like 60,000 households that lost Spike now.
So there's like almost an even influx with WGN and Spike, where it's not that bad. I have WGN. I'm sure I could tune in.
The only problem with WGN is it's one of those forgotten channels.
Exactly.
And it has like a lot of second-run shows, and they're mostly a Chicago network. Chicago's ROH territory.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
Again, they're already doing a wrestling no-no by cutting in on somebody's territory. But I'll tell you this: Chicago is a hell of a lot bigger of a market than Central Florida.
Yeah,
it's a gorgeous place, but the problem is you don't have a local fan base. You have a bunch of drifters coming in. Plus, they don't even have that anymore. They have to tour.
There's no promotion. It all goes back to that marketing. Like here, for example, I said on another podcast because I was just like had it with TNA, and I still have it with TNA. There's no promotion. They have Kurt Angle. He's a Pittsburgh native. Why is he not on a local show, either radio, television show, or even some type of special or something where he's promoting TNA? The guy wrestled here. I don't know if he was at the Cheswick show, but he was at the one in Washington in 2011 that we went to.
We also went to the one in Rostraver as well.
That was the one. I'm sorry, not Washington, Rostraver. That's the one we went to. He was there. They never have.
Which, by the way, he wrestled AJ Styles.
It was
not
Jarrett.
Jeff Jarrett.
I'm telling you, it was Jarrett.
It wasn't Jeff Jarrett.
All right, we'll look it up. But it was. But here's the thing. I have the pictures. Here's the thing. Basically, the problem is you have a local Pittsburgh native, and he's not promoting the show that he's going to be on the main event of to local people. It just doesn't make sense. It's mind-boggling to me. There's no promotion.
Let's
not even a commercial promoting it.
Let's look at the roster real quick and see who's the face of the company. Who would you pick to be your essentially John Cena to use a fallback? Bobby Roode. But then some people say Austin Aries. But other than those two, who do you have that you could hang your hat on that you could promote and say, this is the guy? No one.
Really, you don't. I mean...
Jeff Hardy? No. Matt Hardy? No.
No, they're not dependable.
I mean, even if you look at the list of former world champions, there aren't... Anderson's been de-pushed so bad, no one knows where he is. Bully Ray, but he's gone.
Yeah, they didn't promote these guys enough to make them recognizable faces to the general public. I mean,
and
that's
then
the
a
problem.
lot of people, like, if you tell them who Bobby Roode is, if they haven't been TNA fans recently, that's what kills me. He's one of the best professional wrestlers of the last, recent amount of time. And he gets no respect, except, I mean, other wrestlers know who he is because you study your own craft.
Yeah.
But the casual fan would probably just think, oh, that Rick Rude? No, it's not Rick Rude, it's Bobby Roode.
Yeah, you can see he's the heart and soul of this company right now, the passion that he has as a face.
And the ability.
And
to actually attract interest. Jeff Hardy has just been written off so many times. I mean, the Victory Road thing hurt him more than anyone realized.
Well, he's not dependable.
No. Well, not even that. He was never more interesting than he was in 2009, whenever he won the title from Edge a few times and whatnot. I mean, that was his peak.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get much out of him. Now, here's the thing. Saying they do the reboot again, they get a new network, or they stay on Spike, who would stay, who would go? Global Force is coming, Ring of Honor is getting stronger. There's also, Lucha Underground. There's a lot of promotions that are starting up. Things are happening. What would you do with this roster? Who would you keep? Who would you get rid of? You want to break it down who we should get rid of first? Go through everybody.
That'll save us a lot of time, yeah.
All right, so we'll start. What were you going to say, something?
I was just going to say, I mean, let's just,
go through everybody.
Because adding people is going to be tough. We're going to have to come up with some free agents that we could plug in there. And, not the non-CM Punk category, because the dream scenarios aren't going to happen for TNA.
All right.
Let's start with Abyss. Let's just go, right down the line.
All right, Abyss, stay or go.
Go. Honestly,
right,
what has he done? He's their rip-off version of Kane. He hasn't been relevant or good since his feud with Rob Van Dam. He's been booked so weakly. He's completely useless. He's fat. He's out of shape. His new look is terrible. He hasn't won a match in like 6 months.
Agreed. Angelina Love.
Leave the women's division alone because honestly, they're a sideshow. They may be great wrestlers, and some of them are, but there's never going to be a time that your casual wrestling fan, no matter how hard they try, unless they're female, is going to tune in and say, wow, I wonder what Angelina Love's going to do this week.
There was a time, though, when Dutch Mantel was booking that in 07 and in 08, that was hot. The women's division
and Taryn Terrell and Gail Kim, that was great.
Yeah.
But honestly, you can't pace the show on that. You can't.
Well, I mean, even when they had, remember Taylor Wilde? And all, I mean,
Yeah,
they
they
had
were
some
good. They were
decent.
good. Yeah,
Yeah,
but they can't. That's not.
what's true, but it could be if they rebuild it. We'll talk
It
about it.
still wouldn't make money.
Yeah, never did, never will, I guess. But Austin Aries.
Going to lose him because they're not going to pay him. They're going to lowball the hell out of him, and he's going to go back to ROH or try to go to NXT or something. They're not going to be able to keep him.
ROH just benefits
Or he
out
could
of
go
their
to
failure.
Japan. He could go wherever he wants.
Bobby Roode.
Goes down with the ship. He'll stay. He'll stay until the bitter end, and I feel bad.
So you'd keep him?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
why would?
we're cutting so much dead weight. We can afford to keep Bobby Roode. I mean, the money you don't give to Austin Aries could be thrown to Bobby Roode.
All right, Bram.
Should be pushed a lot more effectively.
So we'll keep him.
Yeah.
Bully Ray. I think he's gone.
He's gone already.
Okay. Chris Melendez.
Never should have been signed in the first place.
Gone. Davey Richards.
Doesn't move the needle much. If you're gonna have him in a tag team and he's that good of a wrestler, I don't. I mean, it's good that they're together and they're a tag team, but I can't decide if he'd be able to get over enough on his own and be worth it, or whether if it was just him instead of Davey Richards, whether I would keep either one of them.
Well, that's interesting.
I would only keep them together and keep both of them, or I would only put it this way: I'd only keep one if I could keep both.
Okay.
I would not keep each of them individually. I hate Eddie Edwards. His single stuff is some of the worst stuff I've ever seen.
Well, Davey Richards, they're doing a storyline where James Storm's trying to get him in this weird cult group or whatever. So that's
Why?
It's stupid. It's a waste. We'll go into that. Devon, goodbye.
He's already gone.
He's gone. Okay. DJZ.
They're going to NJPW. DJZ, you know what? Hard worker. Got to say, we know him from Pittsburgh, from IWC.
Change
He
the
did
gimmick.
a good job there, good wrestling. I don't mind the gimmick change, but eventually
He's gonna have to do something.
you can't be a DJ in the mid card, not winning the X Division title, and then get bumped up at all. Smaller people than him have won a world title, so they can do something with it.
Okay. Eddie Edwards. Like you said.
Like,
either.
yeah, you can only
Okay.
keep both of them.
Eric Young.
Who cares?
Yep. Goodbye.
The passionate TNA fans are going to stay anyway, with or without him. I don't know anyone that's going to walk away if Eric Young leaves. Do you?
No, I
But
don't.
you know what? I mean, if he's gonna stay at a reduced rate and you're not gonna make him world champion again, I keep him.
Ethan Carter III.
Push him more.
Garrett Bischoff.
I hope he's gone.
Would you keep him or not?
Why?
I don't know. I just want to ask you what you do. Yay or nay?
I mean, unless he was gonna be like a rent boy and I could beat the living fuck out of him every single night. No, I wouldn't do anything with him. I'd get
All
rid
right.
of him.
Okay.
And you know what? Unless they made like the Garrett Bischoff Smash Spectacular and made him job to everyone,
Well,
there's nothing else you can do with him.
Gunner.
You know, Gunner, he's one of those frustrating wrestlers because he has the look,
Yeah.
sort of. He has the, I mean, he's a bigger guy than,
But
you realize.
no
He has the
charisma.
physique, no charisma at all.
Yeah,
but the
it's
thing is, they don't.
They don't put him in situations where he can excel in that.
Well, yeah, that's the other problem too. He could be like
It all goes back
he
to
could
booking.
be like a power wrestling Chris Benoit. He has the same physical style and
Yeah.
whatnot, but he's been involved with feuding with the same kind of character. They
Yeah.
haven't. I mean, to me, Gunner would be. He needs a new name because there aren't that many people named Gunner. That's the other problem that we can get into is talking about wrestling names. You need to have a damn last name. If you're just called Gunner, no one knows who the hell you are.
Well, I think he's using it for the military background, but then show it.
Have it be
know.
a nickname.
Yeah.
Have it be in between or at the beginning of something. I mean, I think if you used him better and he was cheap, keep him.
All right, Hector Guerrero. Keep him for broadcasting for the Spanish team.
Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, I don't see why not. Homicide. I say goodbye. It's just the time's come and gone for
Well,
him.
I mean, for Homicide, the thing is, you need some people that are going to be able to give you a good 15, 20-minute match at live shows.
I wasn't impressed for what I saw in New York, but
Well, but that was he was recovering from serious injury, I think.
he was in bad shape either way. James Storm.
Should be booked more effectively. You say get rid of, but I say that they could use him a lot better. I liked his feud with Gunner, honestly. I just don't like how they're using him now.
Okay. Jeff Hardy.
Keep him just because you need the star power.
Jeremy Borash.
Fat lesbian.
Yeah, I'd say goodbye. Jesse Gutierrez.
I mean,
that's 50-50 there.
the problem is, again, though, I don't see a future for him as a singles competitor because he doesn't have.
He doesn't have the skill yet.
Well,
I think
no,
that
not
it
even
takes
that.
more time.
You know how some wrestlers are just too clean cut and they don't look intimidating enough?
Yeah, he's
There's
one
a
of those.
difference between him and Magnus.
Yeah.
They might both have, really good bodies and whatnot. But Jesse Goddard's, he's just not. He's like a good athlete that decides I'm going to become an MMA fighter, and then you just can't take it seriously.
True. Kenny King. I say keep.
What happened to Kenny King?
Well,
Do you remember when he debuted and he was going to get an X Division title shot and he didn't win that match?
they flop it
And
as
then
always.
after they had him beat Rob Van Dam, his matches with Van Dam were terrible, and he's been bad ever since.
Well, they put him with that group of Lashley and MVP, but
He's useless.
it's bad
I
booking.
don't think you need him, honestly.
I like him. I like
Kenny
him.
King?
I keep him. He's your future there. He's
No,
one of.
but he's not. If he was your future, I mean,
He could be if they book him right. They don't book him right.
I didn't see that much ability out of him.
I do. I see it. He's got the package there. He's something special.
Vet him in the X Division first, then, because I just don't. They're not using him right.
Well, they need to put him with Rude or somebody. They need to get him in a feud that means something. That's the problem.
Well, they need to make him more serious. That's the problem. They're
Yeah.
basically just making him MVP, and you already have MVP. That's the problem.
All right.
You know what? That's another thing we can bring up.
Hmm.
MVP. You have a lot of people that are essentially the same character.
Yeah,
Eddie
that's
Edwards
true.
and Davey Richards are the same person. They're not any different at all. I think they both use an ankle lock. Kenny King is MVP. Gunner is a less talented version of Brown.
Too many similarities here.
Yeah, really, there are.
King Mo, I say goodbye. There's no
I
point
thought
of
he was
that.
already gone.
Kurt Angle,
Use him sparingly and for the name.
Lashley.
I give him a lot of props. Did a lot better than I thought.
Yeah, I keep him. Low key.
At this point, does anyone care about Loki? Honestly, there's you know how we make fun of ECW fans for going all the way back to the year 2000 and companies that latch onto that and try to make themselves successful without doing anything new.
Yeah.
Loki is the perfect example of that on a
Yeah.
much smaller scale because not that many people follow and still remember the X Division from back then as good as it was. I don't care about Loki. I don't.
Yeah, me neither. So goodbye. Magnus, keep.
Yep. Rebook.
Mahalaba Shira, I've never seen him, so I have no idea. I guess he's going to debut soon.
Or probably feud with Chris Melendez because that's how lazy their booking is.
I can't call it, so I don't know.
Wait a minute, let me look at him. Who the hell is that guy?
Some guy from India they're bringing in, so I don't know.
Get rid of him.
Some big signing or whatever that no one... Making a historic moment in the world of wrestling entertainment.
What? I don't know
Yeah.
who he is.
He's a newbie. Manic.
Get rid of him. Why?
There's no point.
What I don't get about Manic, the best thing you could have done is just made him T.J. Perkins after you unmasked him.
Yeah,
Why
'cause
are
you-
they even wasting time trying to
Well,
brainwash him and James Storm's cult?
Yeah, it's Matt Hardy.
Keep him. He's a solid enough wrestler. We saw him at the live show against Kaz.
He's
He was
not
really
bad.
good.
The Menagerie.
Get rid of all of them but Crazy Steve and Rebel.
Agreed.
And the only reason I want to keep Rebel, well, it's pretty obvious. Mike Tenay, get rid of him.
Goodbye, Kennedy.
Keep him, but you got to do something with him.
If
you
not,
can't
goodbye.
have him feud with the same 5 people.
It gets old. MVP.
If he's not wrestling, what is the point?
Exactly.
Honestly, the guy has wrestled, what, 10 matches since we've seen him?
Yeah, a little bit more, but I don't know.
I
It's
just
nothing to
don't
make an
care.
impression. Yeah.
Like, he's even less interesting now than when he came in.
He had a better... I think he was better as a face, and I mean that... When he came in, at least he had a little bit of
And then,
excitement.
again, the control of the company feud that
Yep.
no one cares
Been there,
about.
done it, don't care.
Yep.
Rampage, he's never coming back, so it don't matter. Goodbye.
No.
Rhino. I don't
You can
know.
always sign Rhino, but it's like...
Why?
There's only so many times he can win. If he's going to be a legitimate guy to put over some talent, and he's a professional, he's good in the locker room. He's gotten a lot of mileage out of a limited. He doesn't have a lot of height. He doesn't have like the most unique look and whatnot, but the guy can at least wrestle. He's a good guy for the. The other thing is they're really short in heavyweights,
Yeah.
and they need somebody that can mentor a power type wrestler. And Rhino is pretty much the only one that they have. Abyss is too out of shape.
True. So either way, I guess a Rhino.
I'd just keep him. I'm going to put it this way. They wouldn't be that worse off without him. They're not going to lose any viewers because Rhino's not there.
Yeah.
But they're not going to necessarily gain that many because he is.
True. Robbie E.
Again, unless he's part of the Broman package, what more can you do with him?
True. Rockstar Spud.
He's funny. I have to admit, he's funny. I hated him in the beginning, but I was like, you know what? This guy's actually growing on me a little bit. He's not growing in actual height, but I like him.
Always better as a face, I think, and that's what people like. I mean, I think
He's funny.
he's got something to bring to the table. Samoa Joe.
Been
there, done that.
Well, here's the thing on Joe, though. I go back and forth on him. I don't really care for him personally because I don't like a lot of the indie style of wrestling. I've seen a few matches of his that were okay, but the thing is, you got to keep him just for that audience that does care about him because there was a period of time when, the internet loved him, and he got at least a little bit of a bump for TNA.
Yeah, so it's either way.
But the other problem is, if he's leaving, well, you got to be without him.
Yeah. No harm, no foul, I guess.
Who's that guy?
Samuel Shaw.
Not bad.
Yeah, there's more development there. There's something you can do with him. I'd say keep him. Shark Boy.
Waste of a contract.
Yeah, I mean, no one cares anymore.
No, honestly, I don't. I never did.
Yeah. Taz. Goodbye.
All right, who's the first person you'd fire?
Taz.
That bad, huh?
Oh, him and TNA.
Worse than Borash.
Yeah, I can listen to Borash. Honestly, he wasn't. I mean, I listened to him in WCW. I can deal with him. Taz, the man cannot.
Taz and the Menagerie.
Taz. I'll put up with a menagerie.
Taz or
It's always Taz. It's gonna be Taz.
Really?
I'm sure he's a great guy. I'm sure he's a nice person. But again, the guy can't do play-by-play, and he can't do color, whatever they make him do. He can't do it. He butchers the English language every day. Every time I watch Impact, he's been awful.
I found someone I would get rid of before Taz.
Okay.
Tigre Uno.
I'd keep him. Honestly, I'm not too. I don't.
He's useless.
He's not that bad though.
He's not that good.
We got to use somebody for the cruiserweights. There's nobody left.
Although,
all right, so
every time I do see Tigre Uno, I have to tell the story, the best TNA story ever, and a wrestling related story. They had to give him, of all people, an extended entrance, which he didn't understand at first and didn't know what he was going to do. So he kind of just did this awkward dance, and the camera was on him, and he kind of walked really slow because he was in a feud with the. It was one of the matches the Menagerie was in. I don't know how else to put this, but one of the clowns fell on stilts, and they had to drag him back off the stage. The mental imagery of that is just hilarious to me.
I'm buying that pay-per-view. Which one was
it? We need to find
we're gonna
Clown on Stilts at TNA. We'll YouTube it for you guys one day if we can find the link.
Oh, God.
Sonata should have pushed him, should have been the main event for Bound for Glory. Mm-hmm. That's lazy booking right there, but that would have at least generated some interest. You know, TNA World title being defended in my home country, even if I don't win, something. Or, do a swerve and have him give him the belt, because honestly, who cares? The spoilers are up for the next how many months?
Don't matter anyway. Tyrus?
I wouldn't have signed him in the first place.
Yeah, it's a waste.
He went out with a whimper in WWE. They had him feuding with the A-Train for no reason.
Yeah, it's a waste. Willie Urbania?
He's the other commentator.
Yeah, we'll keep him.
He's with Hector Guerrero.
And Willow. Do we need Willow?
Well, if we have Jeff Hardy, I think we have to keep Willow, even though we don't have to acknowledge Willow.
Do we really? Remember I fell asleep during lockdown and he came out screaming?
Yeah, he got hit. He got hit in the ribs with a kendo stick. He screamed and you woke up.
I passed out during lockdown because it was so boring.
Although, the thing about Willow is they're using... Apparently, James Storm has stolen his abandoned house.
Oh, wow.
Because that's where he's using his cult thing.
Here's the roster of the alumni. I love how they copy WWE. TNA alumni. They can't even come up with another...
I don't mind that, because what else are you going to call them?
I don't know. Do you have to even put them on there and advertise
You know what's
them?
so sad? This roster is already 50 times better than what they have.
I know.
We have AJ Styles. God, I miss you. Alex Shelley, you were useful.
Red?
Amazing Red, I don't really care, but you did alright. Brian Kendrick, you were great. Brooke Hogan, dear God, why? Chava Guerrero, no. Chris Sabin, former world champion. Christian York could have been something
Drop
better.
the ball with him big time.
Christopher Daniels should have been your world champion. Crimson actually wasn't bad last time I saw him, was 3 minutes losing to James Storm. D'Angelo De Niro, boy, did you screw up against AJ Styles and we never saw you again.
Yeah.
Doc, you were pretty good and you were getting a solo push and then you left. Who's that guy?
Desmond Wolfe.
No, the other guy.
That's Daphne.
Oh, okay. That's not a guy. Never mind.
She got hurt and tried to sue him or something.
Yeah, Biss tried to kill her.
Don West.
Desmond Wolfe was awesome. Unfortunately, hepatitis. Doug Williams, great. I think he's still under contract.
Jay Bradley they let go. I didn't realize that.
He wasn't that good anyway.
Yeah, it was forgettable.
Bischoff, goodbye.
Williams, I liked.
Generation Me, they weren't bad. They're the Bucks, and they're making so much money in JPW.
They're all over the place.
They're
Jason loves them. Russo hates them.
You know what? I
don't care.
I don't think I could get through a whole another match with them, but no. Hernandez, goodbye. We didn't need you. Hulk Hogan, I probably hate you more than anyone in pro wrestling, but Daniel Bryan. That's a lot of saying something. Who's next to him?
Jackie Moore.
Oh.
Yeah, who cares? Jay Bradley.
Who?
Jay Lethal.
Yeah.
Jarrett.
We miss you. Jerry Lynn, save us.
It's Jesse Neal, no. Jesse Sorensen, who cares?
They're missing one. Where's Jethro Holiday?
Yeah, where is he at, man? Joey Ryan, we miss you. You weren't too bad. Karen Jarrett, no. Kazarian,
Yeah, you were still useful. Kevin Nash, you really weren't there that long.
Yeah, you were in
and out.
A
period of 3 years spread out over 7 years.
Kid Cash.
He was great. They never should have gotten rid of him.
Lady Toppa, goodbye.
Ugh.
Matt Morgan,
Matt
McFoley.
Morgan, honestly, was the biggest disappointment I've ever seen in TNA.
They just couldn't get that rhythm going with him.
I left because I couldn't get a solo booking or a title shot. Comes back, forms a tag team.
Yeah, he was like the tag guy, and he was so predictable. Win the tag belts.
If you can't find anyone else, you're gonna be part of a team.
Yep. Him and Hernandez.
Him and Joey Ryan.
Him and Abyss.
Crimson. Him and Abyss.
It was always like, team up with a new guy because you're both frustrated with something.
Big match with Kurt Angle. Never won anywhere. Didn't win the match.
Well, yeah, then it's like, try to win the tag belts. Either win them or lose them.
Start a feud with your partner.
And then lose.
And then repeat.
Yep, it's the same thing. Oh my God, was that pathetic. McFoley, you know.
He was world champion.
Mickey James,
I miss you. The Naturals.
We miss
God,
you.
we miss you.
Please come back. ODB, nope. Orlando Jordan, that's...
Why?
I don't know how to go with that.
Raven, please.
Ric Flair. Rob Van Dam.
Stop it.
Will he go to Global Force, maybe? We were talking about that on the podcast.
I don't know. How
that's a diamond in the rough. I don't know. He might. He's all for business.
Or would he go to Japan? Did they drug test in Japan?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Rosita Sarita, who cares?
She was kind of cute.
Half the NWO's on this row. Scott Hall, Steiner, and Waltman.
Sean Waltman wrestled like 4 matches for them in 10 years.
I know. Shannon Moore, so-called Val,
hey,
Dr. Stevie.
Shannon Moore and Jesse Neal weren't bad. What were they called? The Ink?
Yeah, Ink or whatever.
Ink. They weren't terrible. They weren't great.
Yeah. So-called Val wasn't bad.
Stevie Richards never got a fair shake. Sting, goodbye.
Taylor Hendricks was there in a minute.
She was cute.
Taylor didn't last long. Well, she lasted enough.
Tara?
Yeah.
She was there for a while. Taylor Wilde really vanished.
Yeah, she wasn't bad. Tomka, Tommy Dreamer's like back, so I don't know why he's on the alumni section.
Oh, God.
Tracy Brooks comes and goes. Wes Briscoe.
You bring back Tommy Dreamer.
I know.
I mean, passion for the business, blah, 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 blah. But I just don't care.
Well, you get to the point where it's like, well, it's a little overdone. And Winter, she was a waste. That angle
Who do we think Wes Briscoe was for weeks? We thought he was Domino, remember?
Yeah.
We saw the hair, we're like, that's Domino. That wasn't Domino.
No, we're totally wrong.
Yep.
Well, we tried.
They're like, well, this is Wes Briscoe. Who?
I get more excited about $5 Wrestling and their new DVD release than I do when I watch TNA, and that says something.
Do you understand that I have started following Wrestle 1 more than TNA, and I knew a total of 1 wrestler to begin with before I knew they had Muta, then I knew they had 2. I knew who Sonata was and Muta, and that is it.
Wow. Well, that's why I'm saying, like, there was no reason to buy Bound for Glory. TNA, I think, from the get-go, they haven't, when they try to establish themselves as the big kahuna. They tried to compete with WWE, it didn't work, because they didn't stick to what they were in establishing their brand as the NWA. You know, they've never really had a central identity after that.
But they're a lot bigger in Britain because they go there more often.
They are, and they're bigger around the world, and that says something. And the problem is, too, they haven't promoted it properly. You know, the storylines have been bad over the years. You know, they never really had the central identity, and they never had their titles really mean anything.
Question: they've never. Well, this isn't really a question; it's more of a statement. They've never had a star. Like, when WCW was big, they had names that people around the world recognized. They had Sting, Sid, Warrior, Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
TNA's never really had one of those people that's like, oh, Bobby Roode, you know, like they're like CM Punk or Cena. They've never, ever had that.
Well, they didn't build their stars the way they should have. You know,
they either took old guys from other companies or
they were always going for that, oh, we got to get them because they got released from WWE thing. I mean, it's just they never focused on what they had. It's like watching WCW. But I mean, at a lower scale, of course, but I mean, it's just frustrating. I mean, so
with a lot more vitamins and hip surgeries.
So I would think we can say it's the lack of identity and not sticking to your identity. It's the lack of promotion and marketing. It's the lack of having one leader of the ship. It's a lack of making your title worth and mean something after leaving the NWA. It's the lack of money. It's the lack of keeping your talent. It's the lack of drive. It's the lack of getting the fans excited about your promotion.
It's the lack of believability in your locker room.
Yes.
They don't take you seriously either, Dixie.
And they're always looking for, like, it's the lack of direction and it's lacking of that leadership. And it's just basically saying we don't know what we're doing and we're grabbing at straws and bringing whoever in to help turn this around. And it never worked. And I think they really believed that they thought Hogan was going to help them get to the promised land. And that just, unfortunately, never happened. Now, I've heard many times when Hogan would be out promoting TNA, he'd never actually talk about the product.
About himself or his past wrestling heritage or his current projects other than TNA.
And that could be true. I haven't honestly watched a lot of... I never really, listened to what he had to say. But, I mean, I'd have to go back and look at that to see if that's... I'm pretty sure that's probably true because, Hogan was for Hogan. That's fine and all, but
Hogan has always been for Hogan. He's never, to my knowledge, helped another wrestler. I mean, they took the title off of him, and he complained about the Ultimate Warrior the second they took the belt off of him.
yeah,
I mean, that's just always been Hogan.
true. So basically, what are they going to do now? Say if they get on another network, if they
Now
stay with
we're in the
Spike.
prognostications. I think what we're going to see is we're going to see them on Spike. People aren't going to know that they got kept. They're just going to hear the rumor that they're gone, and they're going to lose. I mean, the people that they lose from this roster, the independent scene and other bookings and other companies, I don't think it's just going to be the smaller guys. I think we're going to lose Aries. I think we're going to lose Joe. And I think that's going to hurt them a little bit. And I think, there's not really any of those guys that we mentioned.
Well, your
A
backbone's
lot of the people
gone.
we mentioned getting rid of, you can't move them up into larger roles because no one cares about them anyway.
No, they haven't established them.
You can't book them. So, I mean,
Your backbone guys are like, to me, Magnus,
Lashley,
Kenny King. I can see him as that.
Rude.
Rude.
Because, I mean, Abyss is ruined.
Possibly Bram.
Ethan Carter.
Mm-hmm. Maybe Samuel Shaw.
But
Probably Spud.
They got to change Shaw's gimmick a little bit.
Storm.
He can only be a creeper for so long.
Yeah, they got to.
Magnus, people like that. You can build around. But then these other guys, it's just I don't see any relevance.
They need to go.
Sonata, you could do him right, but I mean, the Storm thing just really horrible booking.
They need a revamp and they need it fast. But I think that's what we're trying to do. But I think the wells run out and we don't have much time left and we don't have much of a roster left. I mean, Davey Richards, like you said, if they split him up from Eddie Kingston, or Eddie Edwards, and they made him a singles, you got a shot at him and Rude having some decent matches, I think. You could put them in a feud. I mean, you could go, but I think you're going to have to break them up. But it's so it's so half-assed and it's so asinine.
But then again, it's like the fans are going to be seeing the same thing they saw in ROH, but in a different company. Edwards and Richards fighting, and they look so generic and alike that you don't know which is which.
Plus, it would make no sense because they just built them up as
tag champs.
Yeah.
And it would just be another tag team falling apart storyline that we're sick of, because that's all that TNA does.
And Jason, here's inconsistency. That's another thing with TNA. Another factor is inconsistency. They just won the belts or whatever. They lose them in a few weeks to Abyss and Storm. How the heck does that make any sense? See, inconsistency. You build this product up and then you just trample all over it. So there's no point of building these two guys up as your top tag team if you're not even going to keep them as a tag team.
By the way, Abyss was off for that long. He didn't go to the gym once.
I know. He looks really... Oof.
I mean, the new look is stupid. I gotta be honest. The short hair, the ugly Mankind ripoff mask, the brown...
Well, that whole thing where he was that other guy, I mean, it just didn't make sense. It was
you know what they should have done? They should have brought back the guy from the Dudley Boys Academy and just threw him in the same mask and had him be Abyss from now on.
Why not?
He can't possibly do a worse job. He looks more like him anyway.
Yeah, I mean, in 2012, did a pretty decent job.
Charlie Chaplin lost the lookalike contest to himself. Now so would Abyss.
See? But there's not much left here. There's a lot of inconsistency. There's a lot of
people I wouldn't even want to see at a live show. It's just like...
Oh, I don't go to them anymore. Yeah, like you said, there's no point.
It's like, God, I gotta watch Knox wrestle. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
He's fallen so far, and he's not able to play the character that he's given. I liked the big bearded psychopath that read anatomy textbooks and did a standing drop kick to Kane. I like that version of Knox. Or the one that was in in Aces and Ace. I don't like the version now, the weird, stupid T-shirt with the tie on it. You're not the right type of person to pull off a creepy clown gimmick thing, whatever.
I hope it disbands and we just, whatever. But I don't know. I mean, it's going to take a lot to bring this product back. You're looking at probably a year to really make this good.
Are they better off dead, honestly? I mean, how long are we realistically going to keep watching them? Is there a give-up point for us, or are we just going to keep covering them because we just hope they can come back?
I don't know. I mean, with Jarrett, what he's starting, it's going to be tough.
Because I look at this, and when I'm able to count on one hand the amount of people I actually care about in this company, and the fact that that's not even enough to have almost a fatal four-way, it's like, why should I ever tune into this company?
Well, and the problem is, too, how is Carter going to run this? She don't know anything about wrestling, and it's been proven.
She hasn't for years.
I know.
She hasn't given anyone else the leeway to write or do anything creative. Big John, whoever this guy is an idiot. I'd rather have dead Big John Studd doing this.
He probably could book a better show.
If his hand flopped towards a certain way of who do you want the belt to be on, I think it'd be more effective.
Well, and you can see all the ex-WWE talent they bring in, even behind the scenes. They don't last long, and it doesn't work, and they're not making... I mean, Gut Check was embarrassing. All these ideas are just bad.
You've heard our feelings on Gut Check, and they attempted an American Idol reality show and wrestling.
You don't need that. It's degrading. And then NXT is like a glorified version of that, you
I
know.
don't like NXT.
I don't either, but that's just me. I mean, you get great wrestling, but why can't you get on the main roster then? I mean,
Oh,
I don't,
they trust me. They beat the good wrestling out of them by the time they
sure.
get to the main roster. You have to like reduce your move set by about 80%, and this isn't going to work.
I'm a WCW NWA guy. I'll be that way till the day I die. I don't care about WWE. I'm not gonna watch it because it's uninteresting to me. I don't care.
My problem with WWE is all my favorites are gone.
Yeah, it's
All the people that
over.
I grew up with, a lot of them have retired since even 2010, and that's my problem with it. And now even CM
Exactly.
Punk's gone, so Jericho barely works. I mean, TNA and WWE have driven me to Japan, and I'm glad they did because I found a lot better wrestling because of it.
Well, that's true too, and they're in a unique position and it's sad where New Japan is more exciting here than any of the wrestling that's going on. Besides maybe
And they
Lucha,
have more of a roster that I
yeah,
recognize.
maybe besides Lucha Underground and a couple other companies, but I mean, it's just yeah. I don't know. I think honestly, what we got left,
This is
it's
not
going to be
enough to
tough.
survive long on. I
No,
mean, it's just not.
it's going to be tough. I mean, if they get another network and they promote it like
Plus, the
crazy,
other problem is, too, think about the people currently in the main event picture right now, and think about how many times Bobby Roode's going to have to fight these people to fill up a year's worth of storylines.
yeah,
I mean, we're literally going to be seeing. I mean, people talk about Cena and Orton fighting a lot. We're going to be getting to that point.
they need to sign more talent, you know, and more like guys like from like maybe some like Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, Ring
But
of
see, that's
Honor.
the other problem. Can they afford it, or do these guys make
Well, it
more
depends.
doing working for multiple companies?
Probably make more
Because look how
for
much AJ makes doing NJPW. He makes more than he did than TNA offered him just in NJPW, and then you throw in all of his ROH dates, and he's making a very good salary.
I mean, honestly, if they disbanded, I wouldn't care. I mean,
Plus,
that's
don't forget
fine.
too. Look at some of the people that are going to get cut from WWE, and it's like, are any of these people going to be able to be repackaged and used? The only one they picked up and they found a diamond was Ethan Carter and Bram.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, it can be done from NXT. You can pick up some good guys, but anybody on the WWE main roster that you get rid of, like 3-man band guys, who cares?
I think if they get rid of the crap, which they won't, and bring in solid indie talent, which they won't, they have a shot. They're not going to
Which
do
they
it.
don't.
So I mean, what's the point anymore? I mean, to me, 50-50. If they close and say Rude and a couple other guys go to Global Force or Ring of Honor, that's fine because that's what me and Jason talked about in one of our podcasts way back. I think it was a Global Force actually, the draft we did. Yeah, I mean, you got a handful of guys that they'll probably end up going somewhere like Global Force, Lucha Underground, maybe Ring of Honor or Evolve or wherever, and then you'll be satisfied with that. So if TNA stays, great. If they go down, that's
If the
fine with me too.
Carters, and also the other option we consider, if the Carters would just sell the company,
Well, yeah, I mean,
we would be so much better off because then we wouldn't have to worry about Spike being a revenue source, and we could have somebody that could pay the talent themselves
true.
and foot the bill for some of the production companies. We could get, if one of these major league sports entertainment like arena, like if one of the arena promoting companies bought them,
Hmm.
that would be a lot easier. You could get a lot more money. Or if you got another place to be a home base or whatnot.
Well, you just have to have someone buy it who understands wrestling and has a good business sense. I mean,
Or
there's
someone that's wise enough to look at what they think the profit's going to be, cut that by about 60%, and realize, all right, this is about what we're going to have to work with because we're not going to get to the levels of WWE right now.
would you cut the women's division completely?
No, you got to have some.
Okay.
Because there's that, it's not even so much that, it's a big thing, but it's
Hmm.
an expectation. It's cheap, it sells, I mean, it's a male-dominated thing to begin with anyway, and that's what, I mean, the guys are looking at them for the skimpy clothes, some of the girls look at them for the actual wrestling, so, I mean, it appeals, and families like it because it's an excuse to go buy merch. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, you got to keep it a little bit.
I mean, you could see the
I mean,
product.
everything has a female-dominated thing, circuses,
Yeah.
stuff like that, everything.
I mean, looking at the product from when it started in '02 to now, like from a production point, it looks a lot better. From a wrestling standpoint,
Does it, though? Because I kind of like the gritty feel of the Asylum.
well, I mean, it
I mean, the
depends how you look
stage and
at it.
everything look better. This just looks like this looks like SmackDown.
Well, and then that's the problem too. They're trying to copy what
You know what? If they
another
really
brand
wanted,
has
if
success
they really
with.
wanted to be different, I would go with the simple Wrestle One setup. I like that so much better with the 3 screens, with the empty stage, with no big things sticking up, just a
Yeah.
clean flat stage, and the different turnbuckles where everything is highlighted on the ring. I like that a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, Simple is best sometimes. I mean, really, it shouldn't matter what.
You don't need a
Yeah,
giant Impact Wrestling logo at your own damn show. We know what we're watching.
exactly. You know, I mean, and here's a good point too. We talked about this. I don't know if we talked about it or some, one of the other guys. Would TNA survive if they went internationally like World Wrestling All Stars did and just had their company based out of somewhere else? It would say that they failed in America for sure, but at least they'd still be around. Yeah, they could, but
Well, I mean, the thing with that is, too, though, as fans, we're not going to keep up with it. I'm not, you're not. And if it's not here,
it's not relevant, really.
no, because, I mean, I like some of my favorite, hockey players, but when they get old and they go play in the Continental Hockey League in Russia, I don't tune in and watch the games. I don't.
Well, I think what's interesting is they do this global impact or whatever they do, the global tour in January. I mean, if they're popular in Britain, say they're just they go to Britain and they have their shows there all the time and they're based out of Britain from now on. Yes, it's a success internationally, but it's a failure in America, and you have to really reevaluate yourselves and say, what do we do wrong? I don't think this company does that, and if they do, they're still making mistakes. So, I mean, we have a laundry list of what we talked about. I mean, I think the failures outweigh the
And also,
success.
the sad part is the people they had on the India project, like Jarrett and whatnot, were better than what they've had on the show at the same time.
Could be, yeah. I
Because
agree.
they had Masters. Chris Masters is a very good wrestler.
It's another guy, and I don't
I mean, there's a lot of
understand.
guys floating around out there that you can sign on the free agent market right now, get some use out of for live shows or pushes.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't bring him in. I really don't.
I don't know. Unless he turned them down.
It could be.
Adam Pearce did supposedly.
And I can understand. I mean, geez, he don't need to prove anything. And I think that was embarrassing for him to have to fight that. You know, I'm sure he did it from a business standpoint, but geez, see, that's what bothered me too, like that gut check and all that. Desmond Wolfe debuted. He didn't have to go through a gut check. Why does Adam Pearce, who won the NWA title several times, helped carry the NWA for a few years? Why would he have to even go on gut check? Why can't he just show up and have a
And
feud
why
with
can't they
somebody?
do what ROH does? Break kayfabe and just tell us he was NWA
What
champion.
would it hurt?
Why? I mean, the fans, the smart ones, already know that you worked for another company. Just mention it once, come out with it, and never mention the company again.
I think it would be amazing if he came out and just knocked out Jeff Jarrett and started a feud with him because supposedly Jarrett was the one that didn't want to defend his title against Adam Pearce and other competitors that were hot in the NWA at the time. That would be a great feud and it would help him establish himself with a wider audience with a veteran. It'd be great.
And the other problem too is
Nope.
whenever TNA used to take shots at WWE when they were nowhere near the same level.
Yeah.
That's like bad mouthing your ex girlfriend when you're not dating anyone
Yeah.
and you're just doing it to do it because it's like you're not a rival right now. Let it go. They haven't done anything, to you personally. Matter of fact, they even got together and they did like a charity event for Christmas or whatever. I was reading the one time, and they were civil to each other. And they said, "All right, this is this and this is that." Their stars follow each other, so I mean, it's not a big deal. It really isn't. You're not a direct competitor, not yet. Focus on what you do. Focus on what you do well, and sell that.
And that's the problem. I don't think they know what to focus on. I think they're always running around. There's too many cooks in the kitchen. They're always running around.
That and the other thing that I'm getting so sick and tired of hearing about how either WWE stole this storyline
Yeah.
from TNA or TNA stole this. It's like
Everybody steals from each other once in a while, people.
yeah, and sometimes it just happens like by accident, and sometimes it happens on purpose. But who cares?
The biggest debate I always hear was the Road Warriors a rip-off of Demolition? Was Demolition a rip-off the Road Warriors? I never saw it that way. I'm like, what? No one else can wear paint in wrestling? I mean, that's a little ridiculous. Like, to me, Demolition's Demolition. The Road Warriors are the Road Warriors, and
If the Road
Sting,
Warriors
Sting.
were called the Road Crew and they used dynamite and Demolition was called Demolition, then
Yeah.
it would be a ripoff. But no, they're different.
True. So, I mean, it's all how you look at things. I mean, you could say Sting's a rip-off because him and the Warrior were a tag team, and they were supposed to be the version, like they're the UWF's version of the Road Warriors. I mean, it just depends how you look at things. But
So
to me,
prognostication for TNA. I don't say totally dead, but I say debilitating disease. I don't see them
we're like,
ever getting above where they were when they had 1.2 million viewers. I don't see them ever exceeding that.
well, supposedly they reach 1 million views or whatever.
Whatever it is, but the company's not going to promote them anymore. They're going to have a smaller roster than they ever have in terms of talent and whatnot. None of their guys are getting any younger.
True.
I think it's over. But it's not going to, the worst part is it's not going to be over.
Well, yeah, I mean, it could just drag on for another 10 years and we'll still be complaining about it. I mean, Who knows? This could be a whole revamp, and it could be better. But I don't.
Eventually, you're going to stumble upon some young stars, maybe, but they don't know how to develop them.
No, they don't know because you don't have wrestling individuals in the back that are, at least that I know of, that have an idea about what they want to do and how they're going to do it. It's just such a flim-flam operation.
And you're not going to be able to get that one big star that's going to come in and save you. You're going to have to get a couple, stars from either your past that you've worked with or cheap talent that you can end up grooming and having them become, good like Magnus and whatnot. Like, honestly, I think one person that would help them, but he's still staying with them even though they're not using him, is Christian. I think Christian could be somewhat useful. I know you don't... I mean, he's not somebody that you care about.
Yeah.
But in terms of in-ring product, he would help.
I think so.
And just in the fact that he's a name.
Well, here's something interesting. I'm just noticing this on the website as we're here going through things. Latest YouTube videos. British boot camp breakdown. We don't care. Who cares? It's not relevant. And what are you going to bring from Britain that...
Unless you're going to find me another Bram or Magnus and rush them into production and make them great.
Yeah.
No one cares.
Will Davey Richards become the next member of the Redneck Revolution?
Tell me that's not their name.
That's apparently what the best they could come up with. If that's it, I don't know.
Maybe that's just like their pet name for them.
Well, Brooke and what's his face, Robbie, are on the Amazing Race.
They finished 5th.
Okay, well at least they had some coverage, but
did they even mention that they were with TNA, or did they just refer to them as professional wrestlers?
I have no idea. I didn't watch the program, so who knows?
Why do I get the feeling that it was the latter?
I'm sure. What channel is that on? CBS? Well, it's not affiliated with McMahon, so...
reality shows. I don't know.
Can Sharp Boy revive his career?
No!
We don't care. Also, Jordan WS reviews the October 29th, 2014 edition of Impact, so what?
Oh, you don't want to put us on this side, trust me, if we're going to do that.
Yeah. We'll get thrown off. Rube describes his emotions after his match. Okay, that's cool.
It's great, but none of this is going to be live. I'm champion.
For us as a fan, there's 1 out of 6 things that we like on this. So, I mean, really...
No, actually, one of these things is actually relevant to the entire company and is about your world champion and your main event stars. Davey Richards is rated higher than Bobby Roode on order of importance.
That's interesting, huh? Well, I think we've been through everything. What do you think? I
think so. I mean, that basically covers what we're at now.
I know. So we fair to say the key points were lack of identity.
Going to survive, but going to be a lot worse.
Going to be. The rosters comes and goes. There's been no account.
There's no identity. There's no big stars. There's no young talent. There's nothing. There's nothing good. Dixie Carter's running this into the ground, and it's not going to get any better.
True. The belts don't mean anything. There's always a need.
There's always a budget, and there's now even less of one.
It's always been flim-flam. There's always been a need to bring an ex-WWE talent, just, I guess, in the state of thinking it's going to turn everything around, which it never does.
Mind, they haven't even been main event WWE talent. They've been Jethro Holiday. They've been crap. They've been Mickey James. They've been people that haven't tangibly helped your bottom line.
Exactly, and it's constant. Bad writing, bad booking.
Horrible gimmicks.
Bad gimmicks.
And then it's like, if you don't have the production value to do something, and if it's going to look cheap, for the love of God, if you have to ask, don't do it. If the roof is broken at Lockdown, don't send Sting out there with 2 trash cans.
Exactly. It's just
tell
inconsistency. It's bad booking. It's lack of money.
Tell,
sloppiness.
Don't just have your wrestlers walking around in a t-shirt. Have them actually put some effort into their appearance when they come out for their match.
True. I mean,
do something to differentiate yourself.
The budget's always been low. It's always been sloppy. It's been a rough product to promote, and there's been no promotion. There's been no marketing. It's just
everyone's ring entrance is exactly the same. There's no differentiation at all. It's awful.
It's going to take a long time to rebuild this if you can, which we're not really sure, and we don't really care either way. I mean,
and your roster is old.
Very true.
Very old.
Needs a revamp. Well, I'm Chris.
I'm Peck.
Good luck with TNA.
It's dead.